Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me here for my first episode of the Pieces of Impact podcast. My name is Steve Seger, and I'm going to be your host here. And I'm going to give a brief outline of what my goal is for this show. I want to focus on mainly curiosity, growing, and collecting wisdom from people who have lived, failed, and figured things out along the way. I'm 25 and I know that I'm young and I don't know all the answers. That's the point of the show. That I'm trying to learn from the people that are out there with experiences and lessons that can change the way that we think. So, together, hopefully, we can grow here. In each episode, the main goal is to uncover those lessons. And I'd like to do more conversational style. I want to talk to people. I want to ask questions that I'm curious about, and I want to understand with you why certain people think the way they do and what shaped them. So, um, over the past few months, I've mainly been posting short form content with just little reflections, ideas, and lessons that I've learned from reading, listening to just tons of audiobooks, paperback books as well. I love the creative outlet that it gave me, but this long form style is kind of been my North Star all along. I think that this format feels a little more real and authentic to who I am and what I want to ultimately explore. So I thought I'd give you just a little overview of the kind of questions that I want to read to guests. These are just examples, but I imagine the interviews will be more authentically and curiosity driven rather than scripted. A couple that I've written out is, what have you changed your mind about in your life? If you had an entire day to yourself, how would you spend it? That's one that I love to hear. Another one, a lot of people believe that once they hit a certain milestone, money, status, or whatever, life will finally feel complete or whole. And I want to understand, have you ever felt that gap between achievement and fulfillment? Because I think a lot of people just keep pushing the goalposts. That's something that I'm very interested in. And then the last one that I plan to wrap up most to all episodes with is, what's one piece of wisdom that's impactful to you that has made, actually, let me rephrase that. What piece of wisdom has made the greatest impact in your life? I want to pull value from these guests and really learn from them. And I hope that I can return that value to you. So I think that, I'm still toying around with this as far as the prep, but I think before every episode, I'd like to send the guest a little pre-interview note asking them for a few little bullets or prompts that could spark meaningful conversation. Over the past couple of years, I've been studying other podcast hosts. It's just one of my favorite ways to spend my time, listening to different shows and learning from different people. And something that I learned from Tim Ferriss was this bit, talking about getting a couple bullets that could spark a meaningful conversation. He says that it's a good way to uncover fertile ground, is the way he shared it, for stories that I think will actually really matter and be impactful. So I think for the first few episodes, this will probably be solo, just me sharing my thoughts and exploring ideas for now. But soon, I like to make the majority of them focused on talking to others, because I know that I'm young and I can certainly listen and read tons of books and podcasts. But to me, there's nothing quite like just a one on one conversation and how much value you can pull out of that. So, um, again, this show's for anyone trying to learn, grow, and really figure it out along the way with me. And in keeping with that theme, I brought 4 ideas or things that I've found interesting recently. And I wanted to dig into each of them here, just to kind of kick things off and give you an idea of what I'm interested in. And actually, before I do that, these episodes can really, they're not going to be the same every time. I have a unique set of interest, and I think that you'll start to see that in the guests that I invite on and talk to. So you might not be interested in some guests, but you might be in others. So hopefully there's a slice of the pie that's useful to you. And my goal is to just to create a catalog of impactful pieces of wisdom and stories that I can look back on and be proud of. And hopefully it brings value to you. Because at the end of the day, my main goal is to positively impact one person a day. That's the core of all of this. So let's jump into these four ideas here and hopefully positively impact you today. Now, the first one was thinking about how education is being reshaped. Listen to Chris Williamson's Modern Wisdom podcast a good amount, and he had a guest on, Mackenzie Price, recently, and I thought their interview together was incredible. My mom is a teacher. She's an intervention specialist, and that's why I think I was drawn to this topic. And she compared, Mackenzie Price did, that is, in the episode with Chris, teachers, she said that teachers are being handed a bucket with holes in it, and they're being told to empty the ocean. And that line kind of hit me. And the problem itself is not the teachers. I think it's the system that they're being forced to work in. So she talked about how there's research from Oxford, Stanford, Harvard, and there's studies that show that kids can learn 2, 5, even 10 times faster in a one-on-one environment. And that resonated with me because growing up, I figured out how to play the school system. I mean, I knew how to jump through the hoops and memorize the content, get the grade, but I wasn't really learning. And it wasn't until later in life when I got more one-on-one support in my career now that I realized how I was thriving much more and taking much bigger leaps and actually proud of what I was taking away. I found a interest in learning that I didn't know was there. Now, I think another thing she talked about was with AI, the kind of individualized learning is beginning to become possible. No, I mean, it's not just giving kids a chat bot that's going to let them cheat their way through homework. The way she described what they're offering is it's basically a dashboard that builds a custom plan for each student, and it will check if they're actually learning. And it really only lets them move forward once they've mastered the material. So basically, every kid gets their own personal tutor at their fingertips. And when that happens, I don't think you'll see kids. And I mean, this is, I still think this is a long way off, but I do think that if AI gets to a certain point, you're going to see kids sitting in a classroom. You're not going to see kids sitting in a classroom for 7 hours a day anymore. I think that you can get the core learning that you need done in 2, 3, maybe 4 hours compared to that full day. And I think that opens up afternoons for the stuff that parents actually do want their kids to learn, which are the practical skills in life, which would be things like how to do your taxes. I mean, how to change a tire, things like entrepreneurship. This is stuff that I would have loved to have learned when I was younger. I kind of unfortunately had to just figure it out when I became an adult. I know it's the same for a lot of others too. I mean, right now, I think another thing that she argued for was more creative time. So she used the example of recess in a day. She said the average school gives 22 minutes a day. I don't have kids yet. I'm only 25, and it's the point of this show is to learn. But what she said was that if you have kids and you ask them what their favorite part of school was, a lot of them are saying that it was recess, gym class, lunch, hanging out with their friends. And her argument was that if you can give them more of that, more play, more connection, more reason to actually want to be there, their creativity is going to spike. And another thing that she talked about, I thought was really neat, was that there's a shift happening where a lot of schools have been about following orders, sitting in class, and just learning to fall in line. I got really good at this when I was growing up. And the approach that she's taking, and by the way, she's starting her own school system. I believe it's called Alpha School, which is really neat. And her approach actually flips that on its head. And they are talking about raising kids to be creators and contributors, not just consumers and people who just take orders and fall into the system. I think they have schools around the country right now, and it's very expensive. I believe she said it was like 25 to 75 grand a year. So this is not something that is widely available today to the normal person. But I think it does show what could be possible if this school system that she has in mind becomes more accessible. I'm not digging in nearly deeply enough here to give you a good idea of what they actually do here. But I recommend going and listening to the episode if you are curious. I really like how she's framing the future for education. She talks about how the world that kids today are growing up in is not the world that we grew up in. And AI is changing everything. So the kids that stand out are the ones that are going to be able to lean into artificial intelligence well and still understand how to be creative and build real human connection. Because I think that's one thing that AI might never have, or at least I don't think anytime soon. So I think to wrap this first idea up into a bow, it's that teachers are not the enemy here. They're, in my opinion, underpaid, underappreciated. And if you ask me, I think they should be treated as heroes in society. I mean, having the patience that it takes to be a teacher is remarkable. I could never do it. And I'm obviously biased because I love my mom and she's a teacher. I think that the problem is the structure that they've been handed. And I think if we challenge ourselves to rethink the way that we're educating kids, I think with shorter, more personalized learning, more life skills, more recess, and a focus on raising creators rather than consumers, I think that maybe we can finally build a education system that kids don't just get through and survive, but they actually enjoy and they like to go to. And I know this idea is probably something that's pretty controversial, um, but I think it's worth thinking about and at least kicking around. And I think that what Mackenzie's doing is neat. That is one thing that I found interesting recently. The second is a TED talk that I heard from Peter Sage, and he said something that was pretty interesting. He said that people will never rise above the opinion of themselves. And he explained it in a pretty neat analogy. He said, think of your conscious mind as the ant. It's determined, hardworking, industrious, always setting goals and trying to push forward. I think a lot of us can resonate with that. But the ant is actually walking on the back of an elephant. And the elephant, in his analogy, is your subconscious mind. It's the way that you actually see yourself deep down. And the kicker is that if the ant is always marching north towards success, but the elephant, your subconscious mind, deeply secretly believes that you're not good enough and is walking south in the opposite direction, the elephant is going to win every time. So I think the lesson is that you can't just grind harder with your conscious mind. You've got to actually change the way you view yourself deeply at a subconscious level, because I think that your life will always move in the direction of the elephant, which is the subconscious mind. And if it's moving south, it's going to outweigh the ant that's trudging along forward north. So focus inward, look deeply, and understand, do I truly believe that I'm capable of achieving what I want to? That's a little quicker one that I thought was neat. Now, the third idea, probably my favorite one of the episode here, is from Morgan Housel's recent book, The Art of Spending Money. And I completely love this idea. I wrote this down. I have a daily goal sheet that I read. And I wrote this down at the top of the sheet. It was the formula that he has for a good life. And it's independence plus purpose equals a good life. He talks about how the freedom that you're chasing with independence is a remarkable way to set yourself up to be happy, but also understand that having a purpose as well to chase is important. So I I guess the goal really isn't to escape working. I think it's to find something that gives you both freedom and meaning at the same time. And in his opinion, and I would agree that that creates a life worth living. So I would challenge you to evaluate where your life's at. Understand, am I actually independent? Some people would think that that would be maybe entrepreneurship, but it doesn't have to be. It can be a career that you love and it gives you balance. But then also on the other bucket, purpose, understand that are you pursuing something that is meaningful to you, whether that's taking care of your family or pursuing building a business maybe or doing something that gives you life, that gives a positive impact on your mental energy. I mean, this is like more it's more it's a little deeper, I think, than these other two ideas, but it's my favorite one. And I challenge you to think about your own life the next couple of months and understand what you're pursuing. So the fourth idea, hopefully I can land the ship a little better on this one, is the fact that life is short. You are going to die. I know it's morbid, but the message is to live authentically. I mean, the most important moment in your life right now is always the one that is right in front of you in the present moment. Don't let other people sway the way that you live. I mean, the way that people challenge you and say things about you, don't let that get to your head. If you're being authentic to who you are and doing things that you love, again, it goes back to doing the things that give you life, pursuing your passion. What others say should not matter to you at all. And when you do face criticism, remember that most of the time, it's just people that are protecting their own insecurities or projecting their own insecurities onto you. And I think it's important to just live in the moment. I mean, stop stressing, worrying, or complaining about the things that are bad in your life and think about how many people would give up anything to have your health, your opportunities in your life right now. Because in my opinion, life is so short. Why are you getting so stressed about these little things today when you could be focusing on all the great things that you have? I mean, be authentic, do what you love, and remember that the only moment that really matters is the one that's right in front of you. Okay, there's four ideas for you. I hope that I landed the ship relatively well enough that you can understand the ideas themselves. I hopefully will have guests on that are much better at explaining and sharing the things that they've learned than I am. But I thought this would be helpful and useful to you for this first one. And just to give you an idea of the kind of things that I'm reading and I'm interested in. Now, I do want to wrap here by thank you, the few of you who probably will be here from the start. Remember that this show is really for people that are curious and I want to understand what drives people. I want to understand how their experiences through their stories can help you as my audience live better. I think if you're looking for that, you're in the right place. So until next time, keep learning, stay curious, and I guess keep collecting your own pieces of impact. Until the next episode. Thanks.